Bonjour, merci à tous d'être venus pour cette table ronde autour du projet Invisible Lines, en présence particulièrement de 3 des participantes et participants du projet, à savoir Lisa Ottenburgh qui vient de Belgique, Barbora Satranslé qui vient de Tchéquie et Léopold Prudon qui nous vient de France. Le Invisible Lines, c'est un projet du programme Europe Créative qui a rassemblé 12 jeunes illustrateurs de 7 pays différents. Ce projet a été mené par la fondation Cini qui se situe à Venise, avec l'association Ameline de Bologne pour la direction artistique du projet. Pour la partie tchèque, c'était Baobab Books, un éditeur qui organise aussi un festival qui s'appelle Tabouk. Et pour Strasbourg, donc Central Vapeur. Je vais commencer par une première question sur ce qui s'est passé exactement dans ce projet européen. Noémie va traduire. Alors à l'origine, il était prévu que ce soit Frédéric Véry qui fasse la table ronde. Il est malheureusement atteint du Covid et c'est une redite de ce qui s'est déjà passé à Bologne, puisqu'à Bologne c'était Emilio Vara qui devait faire les interviews pour Invisible Lines et c'est finalement Matteo Gaspari qui a dû reprendre ça à la dernière minute. Et donc je poserai des questions que Bernardot va traduire en anglais et les réponses seront en anglais aussi. Ce projet Invisible Lines, il y avait 3 workshops sur le thème donc, des lignes invisibles. Ces lignes invisibles, c'est un thème qui a été interprété diversement par chacun des partenaires pour proposer les workshops. Et concernant Venise, c'était le thème révélation qui a été exploré. Et on voudrait demander à Barbora sous quelle forme et comment elle a pu traiter ce thème révélation pour les lignes invisibles à Venise.
Okay, so my English might be a bit roasting, but we should go through that. So as you may have understand, he did a recap about the different workshops and all the projects. And Frederic Véry was supposed to do the round table, but unfortunately he got COVID, so once again, and Yvonne got it too, because he was supposed to be here, which is unfortunate because you have the vernissage tonight. So about the 3 workshops, as Fabien was saying, each one of them had different thematic, and on the Italian one it was revelation. And we wanted you to tell us a bit more about it, especially you,
About the Italian one?
Yeah.
Okay, so in Italy, we I don't know, should I talk about how the whole workshop was for me?
No.
Okay, I think for me, the Italian workshop was the easiest one, because we were drawing while we were giving the topics, and in Czech Republic we were first walking for 6 days on this pilgrimage, and then we were another 6 or 7 days in this monastery, and we were supposed to draw. So I found that a bit harder than in Venice, where we just got the topic and then we were supposed to go outside in the streets and just draw and search the things, search the invisibility.
Well, what kind of things? You had what kind of things? Because I think you had, if I recall correctly, you had a theme per day, and you were supposed to draw or do something around that. Parce que tous les jours vous aviez un thème différent et vous deviez dessiner autour de ce thème, si je me souviens bien.
Yeah, so we got one word each day. I don't know if that was so strict that we would have to really follow the word. I think there was kind of a tool for us to grab something or to start with something. the first day, I think, if I remember that right, it was uncertainty, or I don't know what was the other days anymore. Okay, we like invisibility and revelation. Revelation. So there were three words that we got, and then we always went in the city and we were drawing something that came to us. I think for me that's more a natural way to work, to just draw things that are around me or things that I see. I think maybe for some other people it was more hard because it was like, what should I draw outside when I then have to come and work on it here on this table? But I don't know, for me that worked quite well.
Yeah, for me it was like quite the opposite. Like Venice was the hardest workshop from like all three, because this was so far from my comfort zone. Like I used to sketch a lot and like I have like a longer process of like thinking what I want to do, like thinking of a concept and so on. And this was like our mentor Stefano Ricci said us like, you can't use an eraser, you can't sketch, you can't use pencil, it had to be like in ink, and all this stuff I'm saying, like I never do that. So I was freaking out in Venice, and this was not like a calm, relaxing experience for me. Like I was stressed out, and yeah, we got the words and I went into the city and I was like, oh, the walls came crawling, like, how to say, they came near, and I felt so claustrophobic in Venice, also because of the heat. And now it sounds just terrible, like I enjoyed it there, but this was yeah, a weird experience, and I felt like and I think like I made all my drawings like in one night. I couldn't sleep of the stress, and I made them all in my room like at 4 a.m. and then I was relaxed again, and this was my experience.
Should I answer in English or in French?
Depends.
Hmm?
What do you prefer? That he says if
I can say in English. It's okay. Yeah. I think I was more like Bara. For me, it was really convenient because all the constraints Stefano Ricci asked was everything I like to do, like drawing outside in black and white with ink. In my sketchbook is what I always do, so it was really my comfort zone. So for this, I was really happy. But the uncomfortable part was we have to go like very fast because we had like less than 1 week and have to come back from the trip with the entire book finished. So we have to be really focused on the moment, and also I wanted to have time to enjoy being in Venice and not staying like all inside a specific place. So it was all combining together, the necessity of doing this book and the desire of going through the city and see different, the most part of the city it was possible to see in this very short amount of time. So I tried to draw as much as the city as could, like drawing outside and trying to combine the two, the walking around the city and the drawing. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think the most difficult part was the end when all the drawing were done and we had to combine the book all together. But it was mostly difficult for one person, which is Elena Pagliani, which did tremendous work all night long, so congratulations. But we were trying to bring some support to her, yeah. But it was a really, really nice experience.
Okay, and no, pour le workshop dans les Sudètes, donc une région frontalière de la Tchéquie qui a beaucoup voyagé entre l'Allemagne et la Tchéquie, enfin qui a changé beaucoup de nationalités, on va dire, et de population. Le thème choisi était paysage et la forme du workshop, comme on a un peu parlé, Barbora, était bien particulière. Et là, on va demander à Léopold de nous répondre en premier.
Okay, so on the Czech one, it was really different, as you may have just said 1 minute ago, but Léopold maybe could go further and say it was in the Sudet region, which has changed a lot of nationalities, so to say, and has a lot of history. Yeah, I don't know how much non-French speakers are around, and if it's necessary for me to translate everything, considering that the 12 of you know.
So still English?
Let's go.
Okay. Yeah, the workshop in Czech Republic was the first one, and it was divided in 2 parts. Like each part was 1 week. And the first part we didn't know each other, and there was like it was hiking in the Sudetenland between the Czech Republic and Poland, and we were all like asking ourselves whether it was time to draw already or not, and should we do drawings right now? What is going to be the project? We have no idea about all this kind of mysterious. Why are we here and everything? But so there was a part of the crew that was drawing a lot, because you never know, it could be useful, and trying to create something, but in the end I will not know if it's going to be something I can use for the real project. But it was kind of part of the travel to be drawing and translating what I could see with the drawings of these landscapes and these very specific places, like really weird rocks with really nice shapes and a lot of forest and very kind of landscapes I haven't seen before in my life. And the second part was more theoretical, we could say. It was really like transforming this first experience into something more meaningful. And so we were like as Bara said, in this monastery in Brumov, and we had like time to think about a story, because during the week a lot of different guides and people have told us like stories about the place and the events that happened there, and the really specific history of these landscapes. And so it was, for me, it was also trying to combine the drawings I've done in the first part to a longer story that would be really more meaningful and can tell us something maybe about this specific area and the history of this area. So it was also a really nice workshop. They're all very nice.
Yeah, for me, once again, it was like the opposite. Like the first week, I haven't drew like a line in my sketchbook. I was overwhelmed by the landscape and like these 12 new people. I know 11 because I am the 12th. 11 new people. So yeah, I felt super nervous. Like also drawing before like a group or with a group of people who are all amazing. So this, I was a bit, yeah, like nervous, but slowly it faded away. And when we got into the monastery, I felt like at ease and I could start. And I felt like in our journey, we had like, as Léopold said, we had a lot of guides, and they told us so many interesting stories of the country and the people in it. But there were also like, most of them were quite heavy, and the topics were like, yeah, tough. And I felt like on the opposite, we had this evenings at the bonfire in the evening when we were all just goofing around and laughing and making silly jokes. And I think I wanted to cover that part of our journey in my drawing, in my story, because my story is like more light-hearted, like it's a bit funny and silly. It's just two characters going on a journey, and yeah.
For me, the Czech workshop was maybe the most difficult one. Like at the beginning, I didn't really have idea what we were going to do. Like I think no one really did. And then we were just walking for a few days, which I was enjoying super much. Like we were in the nature, sleeping in the barns, we were having bonfires. I don't know, it felt a bit like holidays. And then we came to a monastery, and then I remembered, yeah, right, we'll actually have to do something. And I don't know, I think that at that point I got really scared that I cannot make it, that I don't know, I cannot go through this workshop or this project. So then it was quite hard to just sit in the monastery at my desk and try to draw something when I wasn't moving anymore. I was just sitting there and thinking, okay, what of all those stories should I pick? So that was really hard for me. But
Okay, so Lisa, you were saying that the stories that you heard during the first week were quite difficult. Maybe we can continue on difficult stories, talking about the workshop in France, and like I will compare those stories. Obviously, that would be super weird. But like, how did you manage to work? Because the first time that you had difficult stories, you avoided it. So how did you work on having to invest those stories further? Well, you couldn't really take any turn on that.
Yeah, this was quite hard. I felt like when we arrived in Strasbourg, like the whole group felt a bit nervous about the theme borders, because it's so far away and we get confronted. We see stuff and images on television and other kinds of media, but like still it's so far away, and then we come here and we have to draw something we don't know. Like, we can imagine it, but still it feels weird and not natural to do so. Also because my style, my illustrations are often like, as I said, silly, goofy characters who are like super clumsy and yeah, not so serious. And then you are confronted with like this serious topic. And I said it to our mentor Ivan, like, how do I combine these two? Like, because I don't want to make fun of the stories, like the testimonies we got. Like, how do I combine it? And if I'm being honest, like I was sitting here and the whole time during the workshop I heard this song of MIA, like Borders. I don't know if some people know it, like, and this was for me the starting point, because this song has like a very strong video that goes with it. And in this video there's like one particular image of like refugees sitting by the seaside, like covered with blankets to keep them warm. And so I just started with this image, like I drew my interpretation of this single moment in the video, and then I started to make like a comic around it, like I used the characters, and then in the end it just became like the character is as goofy as all my other characters, but it's like I told this story like from my perspective, like the images I know I used, and I didn't try to fill it in with like my own imagination. And I think this is the most different thing than how I use like how I work usually. Like, then I start from somewhere and I fill it up with my own imagination, and now I did the opposite. Like, I gathered all like this imagery and then I combined it into one story. I don't know if it makes sense. But...
It does.
Okay.
I felt like with this workshop about borders, we all struggled a bit how to grab the topic, because it just felt so wrong to use someone's story that we don't really know anything about, or just super small. I don't know. We just read a few pages about it, and it felt so wrong to make a book or make a, I don't know, it's not a book, it's a newspaper, it's like make a comic book about someone or using their story for making comic. I don't know, it just felt so wrong for me, and I felt like there were more people struggling with that, so I think we kind of tried to search a way how to kind of go around the topic. So I felt like I can only express how I'm not able to even comment on it. I'm not like, I don't know how that must have felt, or it feels so far away for me. I think I can try to think of that, but I don't think I'm able to really feel how that must have felt. So that was my point of view.
Yeah, I think for me it was really by far the most difficult workshop of the three. Also because we were really tired at that point because of the two other workshops, and so not so lucid about like what was in my head and the ideas that I could have. And also, like, beside what you said about the difficulty of the topic, I think sometimes for everybody in this workshop, it was hard to change our working process, because sometimes we have a certain process and the thing we are asked to do don't really match this process. And for me, it was really that. I never used to draw the story of somebody else, and I like to know a little bit of the details of the life of someone to draw it. And then in the stories, it was not so many details, or there was a lot of things that we don't know, and we have really to imagine it. And it was really something tough for me to do. So that part was also difficult, and that's also why I liked the kind of things Lisa did, for example, trying to combine these stories with something that really has to do with imagination, really unrealistic. I think it was really relevant to do this, because we know that we didn't experience this, so we can just bring something else and have really more cartoonist way to show it, and sometimes bring some humor into it. I think was really a nice way to deal with this subject and make it lighter somehow. It doesn't mean lack of respect or anything, it's just a nice way to handle it, in my opinion. But I use another side of it, as Barbora said, trying to turn around the subject and talk not only about the story, but how telling this kind of story is difficult in itself, and it's difficult to hear, and there is a lot of distance between the storyteller and the person who receives it. There is a lot of way to do to just get to the story and the details and the reality of it. There is a lot of projections in between, and it's hard to reach the reality of what really happens. And so it was most about storytelling and how I transform something that happened to me into a story and something that can be shown to other people. So that was the way I dealt with this difficult topic.
Il y a quelque chose de particulier dans ton cas sur la résidence, sur le workshop à Strasbourg, c'est que tu as été étudiant ici, donc tu connais bien la ville, et on peut dire que je ne sais pas si on peut dire que devant peut-être la difficulté justement de s'approprier un récit qui n'est pas le sien, qui est difficile comme ça, finalement tu as mis beaucoup de réalité dans les lieux. En fait, ce que tu dessines, ce que tu as dessiné dans l'édition, en tous les cas dans le journal, c'est des lieux réels, c'est une situation qui est réellement arrivée. En tous les cas, on peut imaginer qu'elle est vraiment arrivée comme ça, mais c'est en fait ce que tu décris, c'est plutôt l'interview d'un des réfugiés, Rachid, par le journaliste à qui on a demandé de travailler, Romain Sublan. Et en fait, c'est ça que tu dessines avec des éléments qui viennent déranger un peu la tranquillité du récit. Ça tient, j'ai envie de dire, à des points de vue qui sont choisis, à une caméra, à des corbeaux, à des gens qui parlent en tchèque dans le parc. Je ne sais pas si c'est ça ou si c'est du polonais.
C'est du polonais.
Okay, so Fabien just asked, noticed that Léopold has been a student in Strasbourg, so he put a lot of details, a lot of kind of reality into his comic. And you can see on his drawing that a lot of things comes to disturb the tale, well, not the tale, but the story of Rachid and of Romain Sublan, who is the journalist that is taking the notes on the testimony. and there's some crew, some camera, and also the Polish guy that actually I think is Kasia, who translated for you.
Yeah, she translated for me. Yeah.
She's not here today, but unfortunately.
Yeah, but I think it was also a way for me to, as I say, come back to my process, which is really using some real places, the specific reality of some places that I think always tell us something about the people who live in these places. And I think when you experience a story, it's in the detail that you can really understand it was real, it really happened. And so I put in this story places that I knew in Strasbourg, like the Parc des Comtades, and also we found out about the Bernardot Center. That's where the center where the migrants, where they are providing some help from the minor migrants to can carry on with their lives and the administrative stuff. And I knew about this place for a really different purpose because they were having like student food distribution. So I wanted to find like personal link to the different places that could match this story. And in the process of the testimony, I was really looking for all the details I could find. Like for me, the camera was inside of it, and also the group of Polish people talking. And I wanted to use the specific details that are not so like common to tell something about the personality of this guy Rashid and the way he really deals with his own story to make it feel it's really like something of him and it couldn't be someone else instead of him. Yeah.
Donc on voit que les trois workshops ont été très différents, avec là aussi 3 thèmes très différents. Et à l'issue de chaque workshop, donc, il y a eu une édition réalisée. Pour d'abord pour les Sudètes et pour Venise, ce sont 2 livres. Pour Strasbourg, c'était un journal. Donc j'aimerais vous demander quelle était votre expérience avant ces workshops, quelle était votre expérience de l'édition, ou si vous aviez déjà été publié, et qu'est-ce que la fabrication, la conception de ces éditions ont pu vous apporter de différents à chacun.
So as we definitely have seen so far, the 3 workshops were really different from each other, and at the end of each of them there is an edition. So for the Italian and the Czech one, it was a book, and for the French one it was a newspaper. And we would like to ask you what were your experiences of edition and publication before the 3 workshops, and what do you remember about it? What did you learn? What did you struggle with? What just jump in your mind when you think about it right now?
For me, this was all like super new because, like, in our application letter, and I also said this in Bologna, like, they asked us when we applied for Invisible Lines, like, to send us like the self-published or like already published things we did, and I lied a bit in this application letter because I haven't published anything, but I made some shitty zines like that I stapled onto each other, and I was like, oh, this is a self-published thing, so I said this, but actually I didn't. So this for me, like, being in this book with these 11 amazing artists is like beyond my expectations, like how the books came out and also the newspaper. I think I'm super grateful to be in it, and like I didn't know anything, like how to prepare a drawing on Photoshop, like how to scale the colors and anything, like everything was new. I don't know how to say it in even another way. Like I learned so much, but it's hard to list it.
Sum it
now.
up.
Yeah, sum it up.
I also don't have much experience with publishing things. Like I only published one tiny comic book. But before I made some group projects with my studio in Prague, and my experience was always that it just took ages to do it. Like, I don't know, first there was the topic, and then we would sketch, and then we would bring it, and then we would talk about it, and it would take months to do it, and then in the end we would print it, but then we would have to bind it also, so that would take another month to do it, and then in the end I would have the book. But it's like, oh no, this already took so much time and effort, and I don't like it anymore because it's just, I don't know, it has been ages, and I just don't want to do it anymore. But it was crazy because it was super fast, especially with this book. It felt super crazy because Stefano counted that so we would draw for 3 days. The 4th day would be for graphic design, and the 5th day, I think it was the 5th day, that we were holding the book in our hands because they printed, I think, like 20 copies in some digital printing, I don't know, somewhere. And they just brought the books, and we were holding the book, and I felt like there was such a strong experience for like all of us. Like, oh wow, this is actually the book, and it's quite thick. And yeah, so that was experience for me.
When I arrived at Invisible Line, I already published 2 books, like with publishers. But the experience that would look a bit more like Invisible Line was I was part of a fanzine in Strasbourg called Moki. And it was really collective experience where we did like all the books by yourself, and not only the inside but also fascinating the books. And also I had this experience of a really painful process when all the like the folding the books and the cutting it, and for me it was like really so long and horrible. Like it was really hard even to keep the friendship between all the people because of this. And then going to the book fair, like all across France and other countries to sell it, maybe sell 1 or 2 books to every book fair, and then going again and again. It was a nice experience, but also really tough. So kind of Invisible Line experience were more like the good side of it, like the funny part all together, creativity shared together, and ideas we could like compare and see what everybody's doing in their own style, very different, and then making a book and finding some unity, but without having to do the book by yourself. And for that, the most magical was indeed Venice. Like it was going so quickly, and the book was really so professional at the end. The real book, we couldn't really believe it. And now it feels really nice to be able to put on the resume that I've made so many more books that I felt I did because we have like 3 books in a row just so easily in a way. It was kind of magic, and all of the books are really different from each other with all their specific qualities, and I'm really proud of all of them. It's really nice just to have all these 3 objects and to bring them back home afterwards. And, yeah.
Alors, la question suivante est un peu la même que les autres, mais elle s'intéresse spécifiquement aux expositions. Donc, puisque après chaque workshop, il y a eu une édition, et pour chaque workshop, il y a aussi une édition, une exposition qui rend compte de ce qui a été fait. Et c'est des expositions qui reprennent un peu les trois workshops. Donc on a une qui a été présentée à Talor pendant le festival Tabouk. Elle a été faite assez collectivement et de manière assez libre. À Bologne, là encore c'était je crois un travail assez collectif de votre part, mais avec une scénographie qui a été entièrement réalisée par une des participantes, Elena Pagliani. Et à Strasbourg, c'est encore autre chose, puisque c'est vos travaux qui ont été collectés, mais c'est l'association, c'est Central Vapeur qui l'a mise en forme, et la scénographie a été entièrement réalisée par des scénographes professionnels de terrain vague. Alors, qu'est-ce que vous retrouvez de vos expériences dans chacune de ces expositions et qu'est-ce qu'elles semblent pour vous mettre en avant dans chacun des cas?
Okay, so at the end of each, so we had the publication at the end of each workshop, but then you had the exhibitions. So the first one was in Tabor, which was, we would say, like free and quite collective, like you built it all together. And in Bilbao, so in Bologna, it was mainly the scenography from Elena Pagliani, but also quite collective, like it helped as well. But in Strasbourg, it's already all set up by our scenographers, Terrain Vague. And the question is, like, what was, it's going to be quite the same that for the edition, but like, what was your experience about exhibition before, and what do you yeah, okay, what remains from those three different experiences and the three different ways to do?
I would say that each exhibition was easier than the one before for us. This one we really had nothing to do, so it was really the most comfortable. We just arrived and all is there, so it's perfect. It's really a nice feeling. In Venice, like Elena had a lot of work done when we arrived, but we still had to do some part of the exhibition, and there was a lot of... the Venice exhibition was really, it was in Bologna, and it was really trying to match what we personally experienced, so it was almost kind of intimate. Like for the Czech part, for example, there was like logs to make a fire, to like remember how we were all together around the fire and with ashes in the middle, and she even put marks on the ceiling to pretend there was a fire and there was like some ashes to the ceiling. And there was like a doorway that was all in dark with the projections and the sound of the sea to recreate the impression of being in Venice and experiencing the presence of the sea everywhere. So it was really a very immersive exhibition. And the one before in Tabuk was really more chaotic process, like until last minute we didn't know if we were going to make it really, and we had no idea where we were totally going with it. So trying to find solution on the way, and nobody was really making decisions. But really chaotic, but in the way it turned out to be really nice also, I think. So everyone was very different, but the more difficult definitely was the Tabuk one, and the more stressful.
Yeah, I think in Tabuk it was like focused on our journey in Czech Republic, and we all picked, I think, 2 drawings from the things we made there, and then we made a wall drawing to like make this journey visual, like the starting point, and then our final destination in Prague, and we drew like the journey straight onto the wall. And then I think indeed Bologna gave like the more overall experience. I really felt like as a visitor you came in and like you did the journey we did. Like you got the atmosphere, and especially also in Bologna in the room of Czech Republic, Omar, one of the participants, made like this soundscape, with the recordings of our journey in the mountains in Czech Republic, and this gave like, I think visitors had like the feeling of being present with us while we were traveling. So this was really nice, and also the Venice room with like the water and the sounds, the maze. That was really nice. But I also wanted to say like building the expositions was like very interesting for me, because we worked together on this book, and like we worked together in the workshops, and I felt like everybody was really decisive and knew what to do. And then we did the expositions, and like the tables turned, and we were so undetermined and like questioning everything and not making decisions. Like I'm not speaking for everyone in the group, but like most of us were like just standing by in the background and like, oh no, what to do? Like, it was really interesting to see like this, how to say, like the relationship we build up together, to see it like kind of change, like I don't know, the dynamic of the group was like changing. I personally, in Bologna, I felt like the last day I was so impatient and I was like, just hang the frames, like, come on, make decisions. And like, I really liked that we also experienced like this other side of like working together, that it was not just fun, but also like challenging, and we made it through. Like, it was really nice.
I was really impressed by how Elena planned the exhibition in Bologna. That was really impressive for me. I also like what Lisa already said, that it just gave you such an overall feeling, or it really brought me there with the sounds and with the things that you can touch, and I don't know, that was really great. And also was good to see that it can really make a difference if you focus on details. That it's not just about exhibiting the artworks, but also thinking about how to do that. Like, how can you bring the person in the right mindset or atmosphere.
Un des objectifs fondamentaux de la plupart des projets européens comme celui-là, en fait, c'est au-delà des questions artistiques, ou ça dépend même de quoi ça peut traiter, c'est plutôt en fait de créer du lien entre des pays, entre des gens de différentes nationalités de pays européens. Et donc c'est plutôt sur ce lien, sur le côté humain finalement de toute cette expérience que je voudrais vous poser une question. On a constaté quand vous êtes arrivé à Strasbourg, votre groupe était déjà vraiment très soudé, et on sentait que ça fonctionnait très bien entre vous. Et ce qui serait intéressant de savoir, c'est comment ça a pu évoluer depuis les débuts, là pour la première fois que vous êtes retrouvés ensemble jusqu'à maintenant, et quelle perspective vous entrevoyez dans vos relations futures, quelles qu'elles puissent être.
Like every European project, the idea behind Invisible Lines is also to create some relationship, to create some bonds between people, between nationalities, countries, etc. And when you arrived in Strasbourg this summer, you were quite already complete as a group, like you were all really close to each other. And we were wondering how this group had evolved from the beginning to Strasbourg and how it is now. And what do you imagine? Do you have some plans in the future? The 12 of you, or maybe with the mentors, with the different structures that you may have meet thanks to the project, or even the countries, like did it lead to something or not? Like what's the relationship you built from Invisible Lines?
Yeah, for me this was super funny. Like the moment we went to Czech Republic, the first workshop, I had a friend who was doing also an European project, aside like parallel to mine, and she's like a jazz singer, and she went to this like gypsy Balkan gig group, like very experimental music kind of thing, and she was telling like from the first evening that they were there, like the heat got to them or something, like so they were very like hugging each other and like laying in a field. It was like very hippie-ish, and I was like saying with us the first night we were just like a bit quiet at the table, like sitting, like the dynamic is so different, like but 12 illustrators and comic artists together, and like I feel like we're all a bit shy, and it took some time to come out of our shell, but then we started walking into the mountains, and I think the walking really helped us to like overcome this shyness, and like it's a cliche, but like we overcame mountains together, so it creates a bond. You know, like we were kind of proud of our achievements along the way, like sleeping in a barn, for example, and stuff like that. So I think this really helped, and when we came to the monastery, and then only then we showed our work to each other, like we did a small presentation to show each other, this is what I do, and I felt, for me at least, at that moment it came together like I had the feeling like I really got to know everyone, and from that moment I personally felt so at ease, and I could, just the fact that I could draw with people that I don't know, like normally this is a super anxious like experience for me, and like with them everyone is so different, and that made it so nice to be like in this super diverse group, I think. And yeah, I don't know if this answers the question.
I just had to remember of a moment from Venice when the people from Bologna came, and we talked a little bit about the exhibition in Bologna, and I think there was idea of making a solo exhibition for some of people, and I think then it kind of, I don't know, just felt like, no, it's not possible to make a solo exhibition of those artists because we are here as a group. And I also remember them saying it, like, we expected to be 12 artists, but then we met like this group, like it feels not like a family, but like a bit like a family.
Yeah, I also think it feels really like a family, and it's really weird to think like we didn't know each other like 1 year ago. And I remember the first night arriving in Czech Republic, feeling really awkward, sitting on a table, not speaking, and very intimidating after like no social life during COVID and stuff, and having to speak English and not being able to do it, and all of this was really weird. And then just in 1 week of like hiking, it changed really very fast. And at the end of Czech Republic, I was really feeling very sad, as I was not going to see them again anymore or something. And even it was the same after the last workshop in Strasbourg. But we got to find out that it was like still going on forever, like it will never end, kind of. There is always another festival somewhere where everybody is going to come, or at least some of them, and I think it's nice because there is plenty of chance that people are going to see each other again, like in these different possibilities. They are discussing going to residency together, or in each other's city, going to a festival that is in Bologna, in Hamburg, in Sweden, and so all of this is really on the rail because of Invisible Lines. Like all residency festival we would have never gone otherwise because we didn't even know it exists. So now we have very specific reason, very good reason to take part of it. So yeah, I'm confident in the fact we will see each other again afterwards.
Yeah, and just now I remembered, like in Bologna, you said to me like, I have the feeling that I've seen you guys more than my dear friends from back home. Like, and it's really true, I think. Like, if you add up all the days we've been together, like 24 hours, it's much more intense than some of my friendships back home. And yeah, of course, what you are saying, like, it will go on. Like, I'm making my summer holidays, like, I'm making a journey. I'm already planning I will go to Czech Republic, then go to Poland and Sweden, and then through Italy. I don't know, I'm German. Yeah.
Ok. Des questions dans le public? Some questions?
Some well-known faces.
Une fois, deux fois, trois fois. No questions, so you're free. Thank you. At 7 o'clock there will be the opening, finishing night of the exhibition Borders with all the participants, and also the opening night of the exhibition Dialogue de dessin between Henning Wagenbrett and Samuel. So see you there.